Do you have any particular statements you want to make about the relationship of what's known as organic gardening or organic farming to the wider low-input sustainable, which was LISA, which was what you referred to earlier, low-input sustainable agriculture, the program of the U.S. government?
Well, that's an extremely important question, and people, I keep stating this and defining it, and it's very hard to get across, but there's a real big difference between organic farming and sustainable agriculture or regenerative agriculture.
Yes.
And I spent the first 30 years of my life promoting and working with organic farming, which says to farmers, don't use any artificial fertilizers, any synthetic pesticides, and have a very close relationship with a consumer who appreciates what you're doing. You've got to have it's a consumer-driven activity. The farmer is more ethical, moral, environmental, and match up with a similar consumer. But in 30 years of work, I went from talking to a tiny fraction of a percentage of farmers to maybe 1% of all farmers. So about 1980, at the time the USDA did their first study of organic farming and said there is a little bit of promise here, I said it's time now to invent a concept, a way of talking about these possibilities, these opportunities for environmental, social improvement with all farmers. And that means not asking them to convert to an extreme organic system, but a stepwise conversion into a lower input, which was an idea that my father had too. People asked him, do you expect all farmers to become organic? He said, no, they've got to do it step by step. But he didn't have the conceptual framework to really, he didn't invent the conceptual framework. And so basically, the idea of sustainability, the word sustainable was first used by Abraham Lincoln in 1859 in the context of agriculture, when he warned in Milwaukee that fully mechanized agriculture, big farms based on machines could not sustain themselves. But Lady Balfour in England, Lady Eve Balfour, about 78, started using the term sustainable agriculture to make organic farming sound better, really. And but that began to be picked up, and in the late 70s, early 80s, farmers began and scientists began really working toward the lower input concept. I prefer the idea of a regenerative agriculture. I don't I'm not satisfied with the term sustainability. I think it's very appealing to policymakers and scientists because they think it's simple and they can understand it. But the public, I don't think the average person aspires to live in a sustained environment. They want to live in something that's expanding and going better. So I think the idea of regeneration is more appealing, and it is also much more fruitful in an inventive scientific concept to point the way to opportunities. And so basically what we have is today two separate, rather distinct kinds of farming, which broadly speaking the alternative groups are working on. It's very poorly understood that there is this distinction, even by scientists who, some do and some don't.
There is a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
But you're saying that on the one hand there are people who are practicing organic farming in the sense that your father meant it.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, the organic farming movement today is very vital, and it's successful, and it's defined. People ask me, like, what exactly is organic farming? I say, okay, look in the laws of California, Minnesota, New York, whatever. Soon I think there'll be 20 states that will define exactly what organic farming is in that state. We hope the federal government will do that in a national way. It's important for consumer protection and also for guidance of producers. So that's clearly defined, but the less clear is what is sustainability and what is regeneration. It's laughable when you talk to conventional scientists today, and they say, well, the ball is in your court. Define sustainable agriculture. What is it? And so people start saying sustainability is this, that. Nobody's ever asked them, what is conventional agriculture? Define that. And the definitions are important, but they're not of overriding importance. I mean, you could just go out and do it. And it's used as a very crude escape hatch for people like the scientists who are the leftovers, who are not going to make it in the future, to say, when you can define sustainable agriculture, so I agree with it, then I'll do it. But I'm not going to do it until you can convince me, or there is an agreed upon definition. And that's just ridiculous. Nobody said define, I'm not going to do biotechnology until you define biotechnology. All their favorite little buzzwords, they don't insist on definitions on. But it is important, I think, that society have a pretty clear idea of where it's going. But see, we're at a time of confusion and transformation now.